Jimmy John's, America's #1 sandwich delivery, fast Ed speaking. I'm on my way.
I'm in the backyard here, Ed.
Wow, you are fast.
Yes, sir, freaky fast and freaky good. But I gotta say, I've never delivered to a dude in a doghouse.
Well, I'm definitely in the doghouse.
I thought in the doghouse was just an expression, a figure of speech.
Well, the doghouse is a very real place.
How long are you condemned to your canine quarters?
Too soon to tell, but on the bright side...
The doghouse has a bright side?
Yeah, the wife can't throw a lamp this far.
I guess she's been working out.
Order Jimmy John's sandwich delivery today. Jimmy John's. Freaky fast. Freaky fresh.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to another evening of lively conversations. Today we have Ian Lynn, who was born in Jamaica. Ian graduated from St. George's College in Jamaica and Queens College in New York. After graduating and gaining a tremendous work experience in the various automotive industries in Jamaica and New York, Lynn decided to come back to Jamaica and be an entrepreneur. He is now the owner of CarMax Jamaica. And as usual, my co-host is Chris Daly, who is the senior blogger at Jamaicans.com, contributing editor at Your Money Easy, and is the web owner of Your Internet Energizer. Chris, take it away.
Hey, thanks. Ian did a fabulous job with a video that became very viral, and it's all over the States as to what's happening in the water issue within Jamaica. He and a friend of his did this video, and we have this great opportunity to get just behind that story and get some insight into what motivated him and how we can engage and help in this cause. Good, Janice. And it's great to have you on with us this evening, Ian.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah. First, just to get to know you a little more, you seem to have a deep love for Jamaica. Tell us a little more about your Jamaican roots.
Okay, well, I was born to Errol and Elaine Lynn. My father was a Chinese Jamaican and my mother a black Jamaican. Grew up in the Portmore section of Jamaica, which is St. Catherine area. Then moved uptown, and I went to St. Cecilia Prep and went on to St. George's College. And at St. George's, before I actually graduated St. George's, I migrated to New York to be with my mother and my sister. And I actually graduated from Andrew Jackson High School in New York. And when I graduated, I started college at Queensborough and decided not to, in the process, I started from I finished high school, I started a used car business by buying and selling cars. I was actually trying to get a better car. My mother gave me a Toyota Celica, and I wanted a better car.
Okay.
So I kept buying and selling the cars that I had. And in the process, I kept making money. And, you know, as I made more and more money, and I started to question people with college degrees, I was like, how much are you making? And in New York, they were telling me, well, I'm making $30,000, $40,000. I'm like, I make $2,000 and I sell one car. So I decided to stop and started to trade cars. And then from there, I opened a used car dealership, which I had for many years, closed it to move back to Jamaica in around 98, and found out my mother had cancer. So while staying with her through radiation and chemotherapy, I didn't want to just sit there. She was handling it quite well. So I had time, but I wasn't about to restart a business. So I went to work for a new car dealership. Well, it was a matter of time, went up very quickly, went up the ladder very quickly, became one of the youngest, if not the youngest, and the only black general manager in New York during 2001, 2002. And I've loved the automobile business ever since then, but I wanted to return home to Jamaica. So after Mom died, a year later I returned to Jamaica and went right back into the automobile industry and have made an impact in this industry in Jamaica. I'm the president of the Jamaica Dealers Association of Jamaica, as well as well-respected auto guy. But most people didn't know about my activist spirit, you know, my friends knew.
Okay.
And certain political people who I would challenge at every chance also knew about me, but this, and so I've been, whenever I have a chance, whenever I got the chance, I would be asked to speak at places, and I would speak out at things that I felt, was of a serious nature, and or things that were ill affecting the country, or people that were ill affecting Jamaica.
Right.
And went up to Hermitage Dam, and I had a video camera, and I decided to speak into the issue of the water crisis we're having, and the video just took a life of its own. I think it's at 55.
Give us a sense of, a lot of folks who listen are in diaspora, both here in the United States, Canada, or in Europe. The video focuses on Kingston, but give us a scope of what the drought situation is like nationwide.
Of what the water situation is?
Yeah, is it focused in Kingston, or is it other parts of the island having similar drought situation?
Okay, well, the drought situation right now is affecting naturally it's affecting the entire country. The dams, the Mona Dam, there's two main dams in Jamaica, Mona and Hermitage Dam. The problem we're having, it's affecting, as I said, the entire country, and right now over 70% of our water is actually used for agricultural purposes.
Right.
So that is something else that we have to look at. So right now, basically, what we have is the system is bad. The system that was set up from the 1940s is not adequate anymore. I mean, at the time, I think Kingston had, the numbers we had was about 200,000 people living in Kingston. Now we're over 800,000 people. So the way in which the system that was set up in the country today are not adequate. So therefore, the entire country, because of this drought, is being ill affected. Add to all of that, we have over 70 rivers and streams in Blue Mountain. And up there is a rain forest, if you can call it that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are no pipelines to take that water into our dams. So currently, because of the drought and because of our lack of activity or inactivity by government and by leadership and by the private sector of Jamaica, we currently have about 50% of water in Mona Dam and less than 20% in Hermitage Dam. So the entire country, to answer your question, is facing this particular issue right now.
Okay.
Because, not just because of the drought, but because of our lack of action.
Well, have you gotten any governmental response to your video series?
Yes, Minister Horace Chang, who is the Minister of Water,
mm-hmm.
he immediately came out the day that the video took, the viral video took storm. He came out and explained that they were borrowing some money to repair Hermitage Dam. I've spoken to members of government and of the ministry they're trying to explain to me what has happened. And I understand. I mean, this is a government that's been in power for 3 years. Or less than a little bit under 3 years. The former government was in there for 18 years. So of course, they're calling to let me know that the issue that they're having is obviously, and it certainly isn't their fault, but they're telling us and telling myself, and they've told me that they're now correcting some of the problems.
Okay. You mentioned, some of the lack of foresight is one of the issues that's driving it, and we're like in the rainforest, piping the water into major urban areas hasn't been considered. Are there also environmental issues like deforestation? Yes, absolutely. Well, one of the most disastrous things that happened was that the hill up in they call it Long Mountain mm-hmm. was trees were cut down and the place was basically devastated to build a townhouse complex. Okay. And currently, I mean, and this is where I call out the diaspora, because we really need the brain power of the diaspora, because our people in Jamaica, and I'm not going to mince words, but we're really lacking vision at this point in time, because environmentally, we have very little environmentalists and very little people are persons in those positions with power. So when the hotels come, they'll spend
hundreds of millions of dollars on building a resort, and then they'll have the worst sewage system that there is. So the building will look good, but the sewage system will just run right into the street or right into the next door neighborhood of Jamaica. Mosquito is also an issue. So in Jamaica, what is happening is that environmentally we're not either we've chosen to ignore it, or we're not as inspired as we should be. But the rain that's going on, especially in Blue Mountains and in other areas of Jamaica where we have constant rain, there is no system implemented to bring those water, whether rainwater or the 70 rivers or the over the 100 dams that we have underground, to really give us the kind of water supply that we need, and maybe that water supply that we could sell outside of Jamaica. It could be another way to get ourselves out of the debt that we're in.
Okay. Yeah, water is going to be a key ingredient, even more than oil, folks are saying.
Absolutely.
And so
we have an abundance of it. Yeah, so I've said in the video, in the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty.
Okay.
Because we in Jamaica, we have an abundance of it.
So what's your next step? If you were going to write a policy position to address some of these, give me the critical ingredients of this policy position.
Okay. I like simplifying things.
Uh-huh.
Prime Minister Edward Seaga, he was the Prime Minister of Jamaica from 1980 to 1989. One of the Prime Minister Seaga is the reason why we even have water today, because where Mona Dam is 50% full, that 50% of water is coming from the Yalas River. So Prime Minister Seaga built a pipeline from the Yalas River into the Mona Dam, and that is where we're getting the millions of gallons of water that we're getting. So my policy would be, and he used the Jamaica Defense Force to do it. So my policy would be quite simple. Over 100 underground dams. Let's bring in, or let's look for the engineers and the people with the proper specifications and degrees and experience in this field. We know how to build highways and bridges. Well, we need to get to our water system. So we need to drill and bring our water from the over 100 wells that we have. And we also need to implement a policy and a program to save rainwater. I mean, we're using a lot of sewage water as pipe water today, which most countries do. But we have rain. So we can simply harness the rainwater and put it also into our well system. But most important, my policy would be to build a pipeline from the Blue Mountain, and from my investigation, we don't even have to go up to the mountain. We can start from the bottom of Blue Mountain. But it's to build a major pipeline to bring us probably we could easily get another 30 million gallons of water into Kingston. And then Catherine Peak is one of the best waters in Jamaica. It's also in Blue Mountain. The government and some private sector people, we need to come together to harness that water again and to sell that water overseas. Okay.
Currently, I hear that the usage in Kingston alone is like 50 million gallons a day.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the other major source that you're talking about is the growing sector of the economy, which is agriculture. As you said, that takes up 70% of the water system. It seems like the rich areas, if we do a profile of the island, the western side of the island is where there's abundance of breadbasket land. How would you address the agricultural sector as far as its increased use of water?
Well, how I would address it is that I think that agriculture is something that we have to put 150% of our energy into. And right now we have farmlands in Jamaica that, because of the drought, need water. So we have crops that are basically drying up because of the lack of water. So when you really look at the whole system in Jamaica again, what I would do is I would focus on agriculture, put in the proper irrigation system, because right now I am sure that water is being wasted. I don't have the facts, but the fact that 70% of that water is going to those areas and we still have a lack of water, and to me, it seems to me that maybe our irrigation system, our farming tactics are certainly outdated, but maybe our irrigation system is also outdated. So we would have to basically look at the Ministry of Agriculture, look at the 70% of the water that's going into these farmlands, where are they coming from, and focus, change up that whole system so that we wouldn't be wasting the water, or so that maybe some farms, maybe owned by some people, are getting all the water and others aren't. So, I mean, we have to look at it from a more governmental standpoint at this point in time, because with this free for all that we have some people having being taken care of and others not. So the bottom line is I would look at our irrigation system, where all of this 70% of the water is really going.
We've mentioned several stakeholders so far. We mentioned the governmental agency. We were looking for some private initiative. How about the actual consumers themselves? They're major stakeholders. How would you say the usage of water per person is, and are we doing enough to recycle and to conserve and to treat it as the strategic resource that it is from a consumer? Or is there consumer education that's needed in addition to make this?
Yes, I do believe that we need the consumers of Jamaica and the people of Jamaica do need the knowledge and the education about the use of water and the overuse and the improper use of it. But I do believe that it is a leadership problem in this country, and I believe it's a problem of selfishness on the private sector, of not uniting with the government to get the abundance of water that we have into the cities and into the towns and into the country areas of Jamaica, with or without a drought. I just see it as complete mismanagement. You're
also critical of the church because of you said they are without a vision and a compassion of sort to be able to. Could you elaborate on that? Certainly. The church in Jamaica, which was a very strong organization and entity, the United different churches all together, they're completely in a horizontal proportion right now. Gambling has been legalized in Jamaica up to recently. We had horse racing on Sundays. I mean, it's as though they don't even exist. And I think it's true in many countries, but we're dealing with Jamaica. The pastors have become quite weak and very ineffective in this country. So I challenge them that if you, like I said earlier, if you truly fear God and you truly preach the gospel or the Torah or the Quran, whatever it is that you believe in, then you'll get busy, because Jamaica is, in fact, the murder capital of the world. I know we're in water, so we'll stay there. But as a murder capital of the world with more church per capita than almost any country in the world, then we seriously have a religious problem in this country. And the pastors are as good as their theological seminary schools. They're as good as that right now. Horizontal. Okay, that's a good challenge. Our young people, what words of inspiration would you want to share with them? As you know, young people are usually very idealistic, and they can lead a revolution in goodness. What would you say to them to get them engaged in a positive manner? Yes. Well, in Jamaica, unlike our young men in America and England and in many other places, in Jamaica, our young men are concerned with sex, money, and partying at this point in time. There are very few idealistic young men and women in Jamaica at this point in time. UA, which used to be a basket of ideas and revolutionary or evolutionary thinking, it's a party central right now. I mean, when I tell you, the country is in trouble. So what I would say to the young, and what I've said in the video, and to inspire them, is that, listen, whatever is moving you at this point in time, whether it is money or degree, whatever you're trying to accomplish by ignoring the social problems in this country, you will not have the opportunity to enjoy it, because Jamaica will not be here in the way in which you see it.
You're talking about a country that is redlined, a country that is bankrupt, and a country that is the murder capital of the world. How long can we continue like this? We have no more natural resources to sell off, not in any big way. We did the land, we did the hotel expansions and all the excitements. Bauxite is now dead. You know, I know with the bauxite industry collapsing, we're in trouble. So to inspire young people, unfortunately, you have to shock them into reality, and that is what I've been doing, shocking them into the reality, because with all of our problems in Jamaica, the government and opposition and leaders actually walk around as though there's nothing wrong with the country. You know, if these debt you're talking about, I think the last count was 580 deaths in the country since the beginning of the year. If this was happening, I remember when I was living in New York, the death toll was such that Giuliani and others, Bratton and others, had to get busy. I mean, there's Washington, D.C. at one point in time was the murder capital, and, you know, they took care of business. But in Jamaica, there's no effort on the leadership, and there's no even consciousness amongst young people to see what is really going on. So my advice to them and my exaltation to them is, listen, this is the reality. So therefore, you have to get involved in what is going on in your nation.
And how about the diaspora? What would you say to them?
Oh, God. I would say, as a member of the diaspora, I lived in New York for 16 years, and I've been back to Jamaica for the last 5 years. We need you. We need the diaspora. The brilliance, the inspiration, the idealism, the knowledge, the courage that you get, the goodness. I mean, today I was talking to someone. I was with a friend of mine who's actually from the States, Dr. Lowe, and you know, we're talking. He's actually heading back to New York, and he was talking to the security guard and giving him a bottle of wine. And, you know, I was talking to another friend of mine. I said, see, this is how we are. We're so kind with each other. Because if you live in Maryland or you live in England or America or wherever you live in the States, especially as black people, you have to get together. You realize that you're not any better than the other person. You know, everybody's basically on a level. In Jamaica, we have a very serious and sick class system in this country where we mistreat one another. So just in that, once we put grill around our homes and lock our doors, we think we're fine. The hell with everything that's happening to others. So the diaspora and the mentality of our people coming out of this society, Jamaica, which is breeding a lot of corrupt minds, and going overseas and having to cope and understand, and sometimes being a minority, you know, dealing with those, you know, what you say? How you sound so like that? Oh, you come from the banana or the coconut country. So going through these things where you're humbled and at the same time being around, whether it's Minister Farrakhan or being around a Jess Jackson or a T.D. Jakes, you know, we still in our churches, you still see the big picture of the white Jesus. I mean, there's nothing conscious going on in this country. So the diaspora will bring that type of consciousness. So we need a serious diaspora conference with some real solution to Jamaica's problems. In regards to money, the diaspora needs to organize and form their own organization that will specifically come to Jamaica and find from all the money being sent and financially impact the society and help the people from their perspective. Don't send it to Jamaica. There's too much corruption in this country. So the diaspora also should be in a position where they come down, as I understand Jam Pack is here this week, but where they come down and they know the problem, they know the situation, and know the solution, and they themselves have to make that change. Because if we depend on our people here, I think that will be conferences for probably another 20 years, and Jamaica won't be here. Not in the way we know it.
So if as far as follow-up, how is there a website or place folks can keep this dialogue with you or contact with you going? You're pretty inspirational guy here, and we need to hear this kind of prophetic word. What's the contact?
Well,
do you have a contact or website that you'd recommend people?
Yeah, well, currently, I'm actually a businessman with a lot of inspiration. But my Facebook page, obviously, is under my name, Ian Lynn, IANLYN.
Okay.
I also have some videos on YouTube, again, under my name, Ian Lynn, and we're also forming Power, which is people organized working for economic rebirth. So I'm forming an NGO now in Jamaica that will challenge both all leaders in Jamaica, government and opposition, who has the power on different policies and on the moves that are affecting or ill affecting the country. So they're about to get their own NAACP, Urban League, SCLC, Nation of Islam Action Network.
Okay.
Jamaica is about to get their first activist organization that in our language we're not taking any talk. They can't buy me, they have nothing to offer me. All I want is justice, and I want to see them do the job that they will put in there to do. One of the things we're going to challenge is, in Jamaica, cabinet ministers, those are ministers that are in charge of different ministries, are chosen from constituencies. You know, if you win your MP, if you help the government or the party win the election, then let's just choose you as the Minister of Finance. Let's choose you as Minister of this. Let's choose you as Minister of that. And these men have no experience, none whatsoever in these different things. So that's one. Number two, I remember Prime Minister Golden, when he was in opposition, he said something that resonated with me. He's since changed his mind. We want term limits on prime ministers in this country. I don't want the same person when they get to 70 and 80, and I have to wheel them out of their position. We're tired of it. America has been able to advance itself so with other countries because of new and inspirational and good people that have had opportunities. In Jamaica, the same leaders from there were 30 or 40 all the way up to 90 or 70 is the same people until they get ready to end. We need term limits in government, and that is one of the many moves that Power will be galvanizing the masses of the people and inspiring women to respect yourself and stop being, the bleaching system is also a serious problem in this country where the women and the men are bleaching their skins. They're not proud of who and what they are. So we're about to really take these serious issues that is bringing Jamaica down. We're about to really have that positive impact in Jamaica by bringing it to the table, bringing it to the attention of our leaders and our private sector leaders who are evading taxes by the billions. We need to deal. 10% still control 60% of the wealth of the country. We need to deal with these things.
Wow.
So Power, people can look forward to the website Power or to information, certainly from my Facebook page in the near future.
All right, great. Well, Ian, you've certainly been an inspiration. Thank you for your prophetic voice and for sharing your wisdom with us. And we look forward to your continued leadership as you leave and you challenge us to grow up to be a mature nation of people who can grow up to be world leaders. Thank you so much.
And also, don't forget that, and one more thing, Chris, don't forget that if you need to learn anything about Jamaican diaspora, you can type in JamaicanDiaspora.com, and you can also go to Jamaicans.com and click Me Thinking Are You for Chris's blog. Thanks for spending some time with us, Susan.
Thank you. 6,000 and counting.
Right.
Boar's Head invites you to enlighten your senses. Introducing Boar's Head Ichiban Teriyaki-style chicken. Inspired by Japanese master chefs, our signature teriyaki glaze is crafted with garlic, ginger, and a hint of brown sugar, then paired with our tender, slow-roasted chicken breast for a flavor that's sweet, savory, remarkably bold. Boar's Head Ichiban Teriyaki-style chicken, the bold flavor of Japan, now at the deli. Compromise elsewhere. Boar's Head invites you to enlighten your senses. Introducing Boar's Head Ichiban Teriyaki-style chicken. Inspired by Japanese master chefs, our signature teriyaki glaze is crafted with garlic, ginger, and a hint of brown sugar, then paired with our tender, slow-roasted chicken breast for a flavor that's sweet, savory, remarkably bold. Boar's Head Ichiban Teriyaki-style chicken, the bold flavor of Japan, now at the deli. Compromise elsewhere.